with the Hardy Boys taking shots at WWE and more. This is Wrestling Hub. My name is John and you're watching the Wrestling Report for February 23rd. Before we get into the rest of the video, make sure you subscribe to Wrestling Hub and turn on all notifications to stay up to date with everything in the world of pro wrestling. Also, don't forget to follow us on Instagram at WrestlingHubOfficial and also follow us on Twitter at Wrestling_Hub. On the two-man Power Trip of Wrestling podcast, former WWE star Lindsay Dorado recalled how he was able to pitch an idea to Vince McMahon and get the chairman's attention. One of the coolest things I will say that I've ever seen, and I've never seen this from a writer, I've only seen this from Vince McMahon. Myself, Kalisto, and Grand Metalik were having a conversation. I'm talking to Vince, and he's kind of giving me the same thing where he's like nodding and just agreeing just to kind of get through the conversation. I think we had said something interesting to him, and I remember reading Jericho's book, and he was like, never talk to Vince when he's eating. He's never going to be interested. And if you ever see him pick up a pen and a pad, he's probably really interested. So at that point, we're talking, and he's kind of giving us his attention. He's going along with the flow. But then all of a sudden, he picks up a pen and a pad. And I just remember going back to Jericho's book, like, oh shoot, like he's interested in what we're saying now. We can't lose him. We got them here now. When he picked up the pad and pen and started writing a note from what we were talking about, that's when I knew, like, okay, we're not just lucid guys to him. We could be something special. We're interesting enough. That number one, we're not being cowards and not trying to pitch ideas, but we're also here talking to him with our balls in our hands and say, hey man, put the ball in our court. Let us do this and let us do that. Let us entertain. Let us be superstars. Dorado and Metalik would be released from the company in November as they requested to be let go due to having limited TV appearances. With her set to take on Charlotte Flair for the SmackDown Women's title at WrestleMania, Ronda Rousey talked on a Facebook stream about her grueling WWE schedule. I'm doing SmackDown this Friday and then I'm doing a live show. I think there's one in Rochester and one in like Ohio, right? I think like the actual SmackDown is in Pennsylvania. It's something like Pennsylvania, Ohio. I'm going to do 3 shows in a row. I don't have a match on SmackDown, but I'll be doing a match the next 2 nights in on the live shows, and then the next week after SmackDown I'm doing 2 live shows. I'm doing MSG in New York and then going to Montreal. So in the next 2 weeks, I'll be having a bunch of matches. Ask me again then. I think it's more of like the repetition of doing a bunch of matches in a row that'll really get to you. Start to be sore in the travel. Just constantly being able to sit upright, but we're lucky enough where we actually get to travel on a bus. So I'll be able to like lay down and not have to jump on a car or on a train after wrestling, which helps. Prior to Elimination Chamber, Austin Theory would be destroyed by Brock Lesnar on Raw. While he'd going to be the last eliminated in the Chamber, Jim Cornette criticized WWE for their booking of Theory. Cowboy Brock Ellis comes out, gets in the ring, and immediately hangs his hat and jacket on Austin Theory in the corner like a hat rack. So now everybody knows that he's flunky, but then Austin Theory jumps on Brock's back from behind while Brock is facing Lashley. And Brock just mirrors him over and German suplexes him twice while everybody else runs out of the ring. And now they know Theory is flunky. But no, then he grabs Austin and gives him an F5. Now they know. What the hell? So now, obviously, Brock and Lashley are in another multi-man match, being set up by more scripted promos than Austin Theory, who should be the project that WWE is working on, similar to how WWE started working on The Rock in '96, I believe. FTR held many championships during their time in WWE, but they had issues with creative and booking, especially the night they had to be beaten down by the Clique. Recently, we noted that Dax Harwood had a heartfelt interaction with Shawn Michaels, which led to HBK later making fun of Harwood in front of his friends. Talking about this, former WWE writer Dave Schilling took to Twitter to write, I feel bad that FTR had a bad experience with Michaels, but they also made my life hell the Raw after Mania 35, and made fun of the promo I wrote while I was in the room. Tough business and people are rarely their best selves under the pressure cooker. They ducked me all night, when they could have helped me make the promo better. We barely got the pre-tape on the air that night. With him having wrestled his last match and finishing out his WWE contract, Goldberg talked to Dr. Hightower about disliking the fact that other stars in the company used his signature move. About 15 to 20 superstars at WWE use it, and I used to hate it, but now I like it. I like it because you see them do it, and then you see the master do it, and there's a huge difference. And if I like you, I'll let you live through it. If I don't like you, I'll put my head right in the middle of your chest, and you'll be in the hospital. So that was the allure of my character. You had to sit at the edge of your seat because you had no idea what was going to happen, and you knew it was going to happen quickly. You had to focus, and you had to be attentive of what was going on because you'd miss it. Considered by many to be one of the greatest wrestlers today, Bryan Danielson noted on the Throwing Down podcast while talking about facing Jon Moxley that AEW is talent that don't know how to wrestle. These kids today need to learn how to properly wrestle. That's my deal. AEW is great. It's not perfect in the way that I'd like it to be, and I'm sure in the way Jon would like it to be. There's a little too much fooling around. Jon and I, we don't wrestle the same style, but we wrestle with the same seriousness. That's what I think we bring to the table in teaching that to the younger generation. Someone like Sammy Guevara, his big thing is he has his vlog, which I didn't even understand what a vlog was. It sounds like something to do with poop. He tried to get me on his vlog and I'm like, okay, whatever man, but he focuses so much on his vlog and all this other stuff as opposed to beating the crap out of somebody, which me and Jon do quite well. I'd like to think that Jon is more of a brutalist style of violence while I'm more like the poet laureate style of violence. It's eloquent. Danielson would also reveal his desire to compete in New Japan's G1 tournament. I do not have a wrestling bucket list, but I really want to do a G1 for New Japan, but other than that, I don't really in the sense of, oh, I want to do this or I want to do that. When I was forced to retire, what it really made me think is I don't want to take any of this for granted. With Jeff Hardy set to become a free agent in March, fans are hoping he will join his brother Matt in AEW. In the meantime, the two will be facing Matt Cardona and Brian Myers as they took shots at WWE while promoting this bout. Here's the clip.
Now everyone knows the Hardy Boys are getting back together to get extreme one last final time. And the second match of the Hardy Boys reunion tour happens in Albany, New York. For Big Time Wrestling, March the 13th, and Matt and Jeff Hardy, Team Extreme, we take on Matt Cardona and Brian Myers in the first time ever, a dream match.
Matt and Brian versus Matt and Jeff. On the 94th day, who knows who'll fade away and become obsolete.
I gotta give you guys credit, man. You guys are an amazing team together, and we really are psyched for this match. You guys never got the credit you deserved with the Fed when you were up north. And recently, Matt Cardona, aka formerly known as Zack Ryder, you have been killing it, my man. These matches in GCW, NWA, everywhere you've been, you have been killing it. And we give you props, we give you kudos. And I know you often think Vince McMahon, you say thank you, Vince McMahon, because WWE was my developmental. And I want to say thank you, Vince McMahon, for freeing Brother Nero and letting the greatest tag team in all of space and time be reunited one last time. Because we are here to prove we are the greatest tag team in pro wrestling history. And now, Matt Cardona and Brian Myers, you stand in our way, and we use you as a stepping stone to become the ultimate tag team ever! I
got a prediction. They'll like this match in the E.
They'll love this match in the E. You want to see some erratic behavior? Just wait till Albany on the 13th.
While he was set to defend his title in the Elimination Chamber, Bobby Lashley was reportedly dealing with an injured shoulder weeks before the event and would be removed from the match. He still ended up losing the title despite not competing. On Busted Open Radio, Bully Ray criticized WWE for pushing Lashley aside to advance the storyline for Lesnar. Give the champion his due. The champion should be coming out last. Seriously, just what is the big deal if Brock Lesnar comes out first? I'm not saying put him out there second or third or fourth. Bobby Lashley looks so good in wrestling wrestle so well. There's just a plethora of great things Lashley does. However, the minute Brock Lesnar steps back in the picture, Bobby gets pushed to the side on many fronts. Send him out last. Give the champion his entrance, give him some pyro, give him some fanfare. Speaking of Lesnar, Ric Flair heaped a ton of praise on the current WWE champion, saying on his podcast that Brock could be on the level of Stone Cold if he worked full-time as a babyface. Legitimately solid promo. Oozes confidence, which we all know he has a lot of that. Yes, Lesnar is a good babyface. Let me put this in a way for you to understand. A good babyface never goes out and promises something he is unable to deliver. You go out there and predict something. Nobody predicts anything. You say what you think. You let the people draw their conclusion. He is so powerful right now as a babyface. He may be. If he works full-time and elected to spend more time, I do genuinely believe that Lesnar could be at the same level in another year if he stays like he is now, like Steve Austin as far as being over. According to Fightful, AEW will be seeing the debut of former WWE star Shane "Swerve" Strickland, as the deal is expected to take effect during the first week of March. On top of that, ROH World Champion Jonathan Gresham will be backstage for Dynamite tonight, with him recently becoming a free agent following Ring of Honor's hiatus. Talking about what's next for Bray Wyatt on the Rock and Roll Beer Guy podcast, WWE collaborator and makeup effects artist Jason Baker mentioned a horror film he's working on. It's happening. It's going. Did some stuff in November in Tennessee, and we're working on some more stuff, and it's coming along, and yeah, hopefully people like it once we finally get it all put together. I had such a blast working with him and directing him when we did the original first 8 Firefly Funhouse segments that, we just clicked and became really good friends, and we just, he's an amazing collaborator. He's one of the smartest people I know, so he's, I'm like, why wouldn't I wanna? Yeah, and we've got some other really good people involved, and yeah, it should be fun once we finally get to put, boots to the ground, which is always the hardest part, just getting all your ducks in a row. Baker would also note this when it comes to Wyatt departing WWE. I have an amazing relationship with Wyndham, with Bray. I have an amazing relationship with WWE. They've always been amazing to me. Of course, I wish Wyndham was still there. Some of the funnest things I ever got to do in my career professionally and personally was involved with him in WWE. I'm like, again, circumstances that I was not a part of, that I don't know exactly what happened, went down, and it's just, it's sort of how it goes. So, would I like to see him back there? Of course. But is he going to be? I have no idea. And even if he was, I wouldn't want to know, because I'd want to be surprised just like everybody else. And this was your Pro Wrestling News Update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later.